Hey everyone, I'm Steph from CheapskateCook.com, and I'm so excited that you're here because you get to talk to one of the best people that I know, my twin! Yay! So we are not actually related, believe it or not. Jessie Fabling and I grew up together, and Jessie has a really important and powerful story to share, and I'm so excited that she's agreed to share it with us today. And if you missed the first interview, we talked about Jessie's story and her journey in that several years ago, Jessie was diagnosed with breast cancer. And she has tackled it head on and has just been an amazing encouragement and an amazing inspiration in the way that she has chosen to look at her whole body and how she can empower her whole body to heal and to recover, and how she can support that process. And so the last interview, we talked about nutrition and how important it's been in Jessie's life, and she shared some of her tips and tricks and some budget-friendly ideas and just some big picture ideas about what it looks like to live with this diagnosis and to tackle that in a very practical way, and then also how you can support a loved one or a family member who is going through this. And it's just a wonderful conversation, and I highly recommend that you go back and watch it. But today we're going to tackle a really unique aspect of healing that Jessie mentioned the very first time that we talked about doing these interviews, and I thought it was fascinating. I thought it was very relevant and important, and even if you don't know anyone who is diagnosed with breast cancer, or if that's not you, this is a very important conversation. And here's a tip: a lot of it is very budget friendly. So if you are trying to find a way to save money and eat healthy, then you want to listen to this, because Jessie's got some really great ideas, and I'm so excited. So Jessie, when we first talked, you mentioned how important stress management and quality rest is to your personal healing process. So can you share a little bit more of your story from that aspect?
Yeah, thanks, Stephanie. So it's been huge. And as you brought up with me, it's free. Rest and healing, it's great. So at the clinic where I receive treatment for my diagnosis, breast cancer, they highlight with your immune system, the body has modes of rest and repair and fight or flight. And in rest and repair, the body is healing and is able to kind of do that internal work. Whereas in fight or flight, it's like ready to fight. The immune system is healthier and more elevated. It's happier in a happy body. And that's part of like the whole person, like body, mind, and spirit. So often stress can contribute. So like if you make the connection between, like if you are stressed and you get a headache, or you're stressed and you feel it, the tension in your body wherever you carry it, being mindful of that is really important. And I've learned some like tips and tricks along the way that helped me. December of last year, one of the big things was just this idea of mindfulness and observing. That became my word for 2019, of just being an observer of what is happening in my body, in my mind, like physically, what am I feeling? What am I like feeling, and putting words to those thoughts in response to my experience. So, if it's fear or anxiety or sadness, of allowing those emotions a place, validating them, affirming them is really important if you're supporting somebody who's going through a hard thing. Mm-hmm. So huge. And mirroring their experience, not projecting yours. And it takes generosity and like a full cup in order to do that. If you come in and somebody's going through a hard thing, of just letting their emotion kind of take precedence in it and just be present, that's really awesome, because that's what they're doing too. So something that I've learned is focusing on the present and breathing and mindful tips, things that there are resources that can help with mindfulness of just kind of reining it in and not focusing on the future, not focusing on the past, because we can't do anything about those, focusing on the present. And in the present moment, giving yourself permission to feel, it's kind of like a place at the table, giving whatever emotion comes up, just observing it as it comes, not judging it, not saying I shouldn't feel that way. And there are certain things that help me as I'm trying to take that and put it into practice. So grounding, things that engage the senses. Like if I find that I'm feeling very strongly, to focus on what's happening right here, right now. So nature is huge for me. It's very helpful. Sometimes just focusing on something that you're grateful for, that's another focus of like taking a thought captive and making it obedient to the truth of, yes, this is happening. And this is where the internal process is done. And we have to do this for ourselves, because if other people are doing it for us, it's not as helpful. Like if somebody comes and says like, well, at least it's not this, or, it's like,
hey, that's so helpful.
Yeah, it doesn't work. It creates more stress, which is not what that person is. Yeah. It's okay for them to feel a certain way. And music is a huge part of the journey for me, because in a way it helps put words to a feeling. Emotions have like energy to them, and sometimes they're like strong. Mm-hmm. So music, sometimes, you need a strong song or you need a calming song. But I had these big emotions that I was trying to process. And this song called Show Me, it like gave affirmation and validation for those emotions, that's okay. Like for these great and mighty things may be happening currently and may happen in the future, but it's okay how I feel right here, right now. Mm-hmm. Staying in the present moment, even if it's yucky, like it's just, you don't like it doesn't feel good. And it's hard sometimes to like let the emotion do its work. But
yep.
Things that help me to stay grounded, engaging the senses. Sometimes it's like essential oils, or lighting a candle, or a fire, or things that you touch, like tactile, mm-hmm. Things that can help you stay right here, right now. Mm-hmm. Sometimes to incorporate those when you're either talking about a hard thing or just in your day in general, it helps not to get overwhelmed, because it can be very much overwhelming when you're walking through a very hard thing. Mm-hmm. And you start to feel it in your body. And that's a really good indicator of where you can be mindful and check in and see, okay, what's going on? What am I feeling and where am I feeling it? Mm-hmm. And there's a mindfulness exercise that I learned called stop. And it's just that: stop, take a breath, observe what's happening, how you are, what you are thinking, what emotions are going on, and then where you feel it in your body. And then proceed, STOP. Taking a deep breath or two, especially in a stressful moment, and just allowing yourself space to process what's going on. It'll come up, give it a space, and then you let it go. So that's another big important thing. There's stress if you don't give it space. There's stress if you don't let it go. So it's for a purpose, and it's part of how we're designed. And we have things that, we may have big emotions about something that comes up and people may not understand, but because it's related to something else, that's where counseling comes in. So, I go see a counselor, and I love my counselor, and we work on those pieces of, where things start snowballing and then it really feels overwhelming. Okay, like it's okay. And then that's where the mirroring and the validation, and you can really do some great work. And I highly advocate counseling, because I find it to be very, very helpful.
Mm-hmm. So it sounds like rest and stress management isn't just this idea of trying to get 8 hours of sleep a night.
Which that is very good.
It is very important. It's very important. It sounds like there's a lot of different aspects of rest and stress management that aren't just avoiding difficult things and making sure that you're sleeping, but it really is a whole body experience where you're making sure that you've got that tactile sensations of things that are soothing, or with music, putting words to your emotions, and just the mindfulness of validating your feelings, because it feels counterintuitive for someone who's been diagnosed with cancer to be like, well, you should try to be less stressed. It's like, this is stressful, okay? Like, let's just be real. This is stressful.
Yeah.
And I love that you kind of tackled, you've got a whole toolbox of ways to handle that stress, because the truth is that this is stressful. And a lot of people, even without a cancer diagnosis, are going through very stressful periods of their lives, whether it's something medical, whether it's something financial, whether it's just daily life. Daily life is stressful. You're trying to pay the bills and making sure that your kids are turning out to be decent people is stressful. And there are a lot of tools available to us that I think we haven't even tapped into. It sounds like you've got a great toolbox, and I can't wait to hear like practically what they are. So what exactly does that stress management look practically in your life, physically, emotionally, and mentally, if you could tap into those?
Yes. So physically, that checking in, a lot of that, what I just mentioned, that would be like the physical part of things.
Mm-hmm.
Mental, sometimes it's reaching out to a friend or mentor, depending on like kind of what you need in the moment. Some of it's like taking time by yourself and just,
Mm-hmm.
A big thing I've learned is boundaries, and especially in relationships, but also for yourself, of what can I do? What can't I do?
Mm-hmm.
I could follow that rabbit trail of a thought and be afraid of the thing that isn't happening right now. Or I can come back and be like, it almost feels irresponsible not to consider what's happening in the future, but I have no control over. So like some of my decisions had to be about fertility.
Mm-hmm.
I could stress about whether or not I want to have kids or how that would happen. I can't do that right now. You have to kind of keep things in the moment, in the present. And when you make a decision, yes, considering the future of what you want and the longevity and the quality of your life, but at the same time, you can't project everything out to where you're stressing about things that aren't happening. So just keeping it simple, and that's very good.
Baby steps. What's
steps.
The next good thing to do?
Yes. The next good thing. Yeah. I was at Oswald Chambers. Do the next thing. Yes. I think that was a quote from, my utmost for his highest. Dis-ease in the body.
Mm-hmm.
Disease is a dis-ease. And for me, because I was doing well and doing a lot of the things that you should do to keep your body healthy, but there was stuff that I needed to, I was holding myself to a standard of, or having expectations on myself that I learned this isn't healthy for me. And I can let go of the responsibility of certain things, or boundaries with emotions. Like, I'm not responsible for that person's emotion based on my choice. So that alleviates a lot of stress, where it's like, oh, I don't feel strong enough to do that thing. I really want to do that thing, and I don't want to say no, but I have to say no. And so it's like showing up for yourself, standing up for your needs. And in the beginning, it may feel selfish, but if we don't make that choice, then we're making another choice for ourselves that isn't serving us in the long run. So
it is your job to take care of yourself.
Yes. Yeah.
It's wrong to put that on someone else.
Yes.
Like, God gave us a brain. He gave us this body to take care of, and it's our responsibility, and we can't expect other people in our lives to do that, because they have their own bodies to take care of. They have their own brains to take care of,
Yeah. Yeah. It's so nuanced, because you can stress about stressing.
Right.
And a healthy body is definitely...
I shouldn't be stressed.
Say it again.
Stressed about the fact that I shouldn't be stressed.
I know, right? But a healthy body, that alleviates a lot of stress, because if you're getting enough sleep, which I used to stress when I couldn't sleep at night, but then I learned to just be like, this is a part of the journey. I can't sleep. I'm going to check in about the reasons why I may not be able to sleep and whatever's within my control. Or if there's something that I can bring in that would help me to let go of something that I'm not able to let go of, that will do that. But yeah, a healthy body, it is less stress in and of itself. So nutrition being the foundation. The boundaries course and the books through Dr. Cloud and Townsend have been really helpful. Other stress management techniques like going for a walk or acupuncture or
do you do yoga ever?
Yeah. And let me just blurb this. I was raised in a community that wasn't pro yoga. So, and just because of the connotations or the dogma behind it, but, and I know that's like a big dropping the mic there, but for me, learning to be present and not, it's kind of like this principle has served me a lot. Eat the meat, spit out the bones. Just this idea of, we take what serves us, and I have the discernment to choose within that what is good for me, and the stretches and the peaceful quiet time, whether it's to begin your day or end your day or both, or if it's in a stressful moment of, I'm just going to take some time out and I'm just going to check in. And if me checking in with my body is like really, kind of doing what I need to do as far as, okay, and something I've learned with yoga also is like holding a position as hard as it is. I always learn something when I'm doing something hard, when you're pushing yourself. And in yoga, it's like a peaceful pushing yourself. And there's like, in that moment, if you're listening, there's like this whisper of you're learning principles of overcoming in a kind of safe, non-strenuous, so anybody can do it, environment. Breathing exercises have been helpful.
When Chris was first, Chris was in his terrible accident 4 years ago. I really don't think I would have slept if it hadn't been for learning how to breathe in yoga, because the only way I could get my mind to stop stressing about our whole world being upside down was by intentionally just like laying flat, closing my eyes, and just that deep intentional breathing and that deep intentional relaxing from the head down to the toes.
Yes.
And I wouldn't have known how to do that. That's not something that we're taught in daily life. And I wouldn't have known how to make my body relax in a, that wasn't just relax, but in a holistic kind of way where I wasn't stressing about not being able to sleep, but I was like, okay, here are these tools because I have to sleep, but this is what I can do. And I think having tools like that in your toolbox whenever you're going through a stressful time is very, very important.
Yes. Yeah. And I've learned there are certain resources like the mindful meditation, or like on Amazon Prime, there's a yoga app, those kinds of things where they'll kind of walk you through. And you learn techniques, and you don't have to do it exactly like they do it. You can like kind of learn, okay, it's like shopping. These are my options and I need these things today.
Yep. And I think it's important to say that so often people who don't know how to do these things, or there's just this idea that, if you have the time and energy, then you get into yoga and you get into breathing and all that. And I just want to say, and I think you would agree with me that these are very important skills. Knowing how to cook is a very important skill. Like knowing how to chop vegetables and make something edible is an important adulting skill. And I think there's not enough conversation around knowing how to handle stress and create emotional boundaries is a very important adulting skill.
Yes.
Because that differentiates between the people who make things happen intentionally and the people who things just keep happening to them. Obviously stuff happens to all of us. That's what our conversation is about, is you can't control everything. But you can control things, how you react to them. And I love the way that you have reacted in empowering yourself to create an environment where your body can get the rest so that it has the time to heal and it has the space to heal itself. And I love the analogy that you said the first time that we had a conversation about this, in that you said it's kind of like when you are sitting at home with nothing to do. And if you sit at home with nothing to do long enough, then you start looking around and you're like, oh, I should take care of that. And there's some cobwebs up there I should clean. And maybe I should go ahead and paint that. And you start focusing on things that you need to do. And in the same way, your body, if it's constantly in fight or flight mode, then it's handling all these outside things. And you need to give it the space to sit for a while and be like, oh, there's that. I should probably handle that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, yes.
So how are you practically pursuing quality rest? We've talked about stress management. And I know they're very well.
They are. They are.
How are you pursuing quality rest?
Okay. When I was first diagnosed, this was very hard. And I had to bring some supplements in. Okay. So like valerian, melatonin, magnesium, as what's directed on the bottle or as your doctor would prescribe. And with some of those, they can like hit you really hard. So starting small and working your way up to what is not healthy, but like none of these are harmful. They're all natural.
But what does my body need?
Yes, yes. So like, for example, if you take too much valerian, you may have a bad dream. If you have too much magnesium, it may go right through you. Stuff like that, where it's like, let me just kind of dose this appropriately. And it's, I started with valerian and came off it for a couple of days because I got like burned. Like, whoa, that was too much. Yeah. And it woke me up with a very surreal dream. Or not surreal, like it was a very vivid dream and I didn't like it. So yeah, you can just kind of learn as you go, and it's okay. And as you go, you may mess up, and then allowing yourself, like, it's okay. It's part of the process. You work that out. But then another thing is scheduling. You can choose what you say yes and no to, and nobody else drives your schedule.
Yes. You're the boss of you.
Yes, yes. And so, but then also making provision. So like I work as a waitress. My boss has been so supportive in that I let him know, like, I need to work lunches this season or this next course of shifts, and he'll do that. He'll help me with that. I need to be if I don't want to be a closer, in other words, stay the whole night and shut things down at the end of the night, if I need to leave earlier, he works with me on that. And I'm so grateful. Stuff like that, where you know what you need and then you ask for it or you make provision for it. Sometimes I fill my schedule and I still do it and I see it coming and it's like, oh gosh, that was too much once. And then sometimes where I will have had like even big things and I'll just be like, I need to not do anything tonight. And that's really hard for me because there's like a disappointment and then like I want to be able to do that. And I used to be able to do all of those things and I can't anymore. And that is okay. And then where you don't want to let the other person down, but then just, you don't want to let yourself down either. And more so because if we're not filling our cup, then we're just not really, I like to interact and serve from an overflow. Now, part of that stress management and getting enough rest and time, that's where, for me as an introvert, my cup is full. For some people, they're out with the people and they're all being like interactive and they're recharging. Not me. And that's okay. Like, I'm okay with that. I know myself. I know how I recharge. I know what I need.
That's neat.
Oh, yeah.
Jessie, what would you say to the person who has just been diagnosed with cancer or is just kind of in the process and is ready to tackle the aspect of rest and stress management? What's kind of the first steps that they should take that'll kind of lead them to the bigger picture? Yeah.
Okay. So I have two big things. One, as we talked about in the first segment when we were talking about just the overview, and that is you have time. Some cancer, it's different and it's difficult. Like some decisions in whether, even if it's not cancer, some situations, decisions need to be made now. Yeah. And not putting them off actually alleviates stress because we're making the decision that needs to be made now. So we're not stressing about it later. Okay. Mm-hmm. So, but then allowing yourself space to make a decision, that's big. Mm-hmm. Another big part of it for me is trusting your intuition. Mm-hmm. And at the clinic at Hope for Cancer, they talk about that. And on my journey, that was such a big thing of trusting that I can make these decisions as big as they are. For me, what I looked at, this is what I did. I imagined like a table, and I had all my options on the table, and I was grateful for all of my options. I didn't like all of my options, but they were all there. And some of them were like over there on the table, and some of them were right here as I considered them. But I knew what all my options were. So sometimes pieces come in closer and then they go back out again. And my job, as I felt so compelled to do, was to knock something off the table of, that's not an option for me anymore. Like, I don't want to have to do that thing because I have to live with that choice.
So I think for someone who is facing this diagnosis, just knowing that you have options on the table, and depending on the nature of your diagnosis, because everybody's different, you have time and space, and it sounds like boundaries are really important, relational and emotional boundaries, in that especially the people around you are feeling big feelings about this as well, and you need to be able to just create a mental, emotional boundary where, okay, you can have those feelings, but I have to be the boss of me. Mm-hmm. I have to make the choices that I am going to live with. And don't be afraid to knock something off the table if you need to.
Yes.
That's wonderful. Jessie, thank you so much for speaking into this. It's not a topic that is talked about a whole lot, and I appreciate that you gave so many practical ideas, especially ones with an eye towards budgeting. Obviously, counseling is one that you have to budget for, just depending on where you are, but there are so many things that you can just do, just being more aware of what stress management is and what rest is and why it is everybody's job to tackle this issue in their lives.
Yeah, for sure. And I do a lot of seeking of what works for me. And, you know, for a time, yoga wasn't the thing, but then for a season, that was the thing that really worked. And I haven't, gotten rid of it. And there's certain techniques like head to toe relaxation that it's having tools in your tool belt, and you can learn them from each other. You can learn them we have unlimited resources with the internet or library or just a trusted friend. So counseling is really helpful, but there's also a lot of really great information that we can try it on and see how it fits and how it serves in our life.
And really, it all comes down to figuring out what works for you and not putting yourself in a box, but learning to listen to your intuition, learning to listen to your body, learning to figure out what exactly this looks like for you. And I really appreciate your authenticity and you being able to speak into other people who are trying to navigate a similar situation or just trying to support their health long term. I am so excited about our next interview because we are going to talk about the nitty-gritty of resources that have helped you execute this journey from a practical standpoint, and also the importance of community in this journey. That will be up soon, and I am so excited to talk with Jessie about that, and we will talk to you guys again later. Thank you.
Yep.